Immigration and Customs Enforcement, ICE, also known as ICE, was created in 2003 and is a U.S. agency that is primarily devoted to three operations: Homeland Security Investigations, also known as HSI, Enforcement and Removal Operations, also known as ERO, and the Office of the Principal Legal Advisor, also known as OPLA, whereby the fourth operation, Management and Administration, also known as M&A, supports the other three operational branches to advance the security mission. The target of these U.S. security agencies is to thwart public safety threats. The office is to acknowledge and serve the needs of crime victims and their families who have been affected by crimes committed by illegal individuals, all types of cross-border criminal activity, and this includes investigations and intelligence efforts into a myriad of crimes: human smuggling, human rights violations, trafficking, exploitation of children, and child sex tourism. Narcotic smuggling, cybercrimes, along with tracking and tracing illegals that re-entered the country after being removed, and immigration fugitives ordered to be removed by the federal immigration judges, who are listed within the nexus of the immigration system. The U.S. security agencies were established to investigate for the victims of immigration crime engagement, also known as VOICE, VOICE, as well as individuals who have otherwise violated our nation's immigration laws. Weapon smuggling, counter-terrorism, transnational gang activity, such as convicted criminal aliens and gang members, and export enforcement. And intellectual property theft, trade crimes, commercial fraud, and identity and benefit fraud, and visa security, such as financial crimes, bulk cash smuggling, when reporting immigration or customs violations, suspected immigration or custom violators should be reported directly to U.S. security agencies. Immigration has been a touchstone of U.S. political debate for decades, as policymakers have weighed economic security and humanitarian concerns. Congress has been unable to reach an agreement on comprehensive immigration reform for years, effectively moving some major policy decisions into the executive and judicial branches of government, and fueling debate in the halls of state and municipal governments does not include competency to be fit to stand trial. Currently, there is no judicial continuity process for adequately addressing illegal aliens, undocumented workers, migrants, and/or illegal immigrants' legal competency fitness assessments for immigration court proceedings in their native language as required by law. A study by the Journal of Consulting and Clinical Psychology claims undocumented immigrants are at high-risk populations for mental disorders, particularly depression and anxiety disorders. Given that distress from post-migration living difficulties is associated with meeting criteria for a disorder and developing new alternatives to facilitate access and provision of context-sensitive mental health services for this population is necessary to protect the human rights of these immigrants and that of their U.S. families. Typically, minors aren't granted the rights of adults until they reach the age of 18. Minors also have the rights under the U.S. Constitution. Specifically, they have the right to equal protection, which means that every child is entitled to the same treatment at the hands of the authorities, regardless of race, gender, disability, or religion. Children are also entitled to due process, which includes notice and hearing before any of their basic rights are taken away by the government. Children with disabilities have rights under the Federal Disabilities Education Act, including competency. The Disabilities Education Act provides children in need of special education with special accommodations to ensure they receive some education as of their peers. A 2004 study found that all children and adolescents in detention met the criteria for PTSD, major depression, and suicidal thinking. Psychological evaluations of children and families in immigration detention centers found detrimental effects on their mental health. Normally, being with their parents protects kids psychologically and helps them cope with trauma and stress, but that protective effect is often eroded in detention. Children and families in detention feel threatened by their environment. Competency and fitness is not adequately addressed in immigration court proceedings. Undocumented immigration to the United States often presents with multiple stressors and contextual challenges which may increase risk for mental disorders. For instance, physical, verbal, psychological, and sexual violence is widespread among undocumented immigrants. Also common to the undocumented experience is discrimination, stigmatization, marginalization, isolation, fear of deportation, exploitability, victimization, living in unsafe neighborhoods, and socioeconomic disadvantage. Research to inform the mental health of undocumented immigrants is limited, and existing studies often lack scientific rigor. Over-reliance on non-probability sampling, the use of self-report, imprecision measurement, and the limited analysis of mental health outcomes by immigration legal status have made it challenging to identify the prevalence of mental disorders among undocumented immigrants. Yet it is clear incompetence is heavily an issue for numerous illegal immigrants to be defined as fit to stand trial for the immigration court's proceedings.